explain, she opened the folder. It contained only 3 pages. Viridian Field's university-focused marketing and advertising proposal. She began to read, her expression shifting from neutral to surprised, then to a look of genuine delight. The skincare every college student is using. That was the core concept, followed by a detailed marketing plan to support it. She read it once, then read it all over again. This kid has got something. She put down the proposal and looked at Cole, a new respect in her eyes. Are you really so sure this will be as successful as you claim? I was being conservative. I could have said it's 100% guaranteed, Cole replied. Now that they were talking business, his demeanor was calm and direct, the guileless act gone. As I said in the proposal, a lot of the most successful ad campaigns are incredibly simple. They just use massive amounts of capital to brute force a message into people's heads until it's unforgettable. The advantage of Headline Today is that we can narrow that scope, be more targeted, and save on costs. And college students, Cole said with a slight smile, are the most easily influenced demographic there is. His bluntness made Catherine smile. She joked, including you? Yes, Catherine. Even I can be influenced. It's unavoidable, Cole admitted with a nod. It was true. A simple, catchy phrase, repeated over and over, would worm its way into your subconscious. You'd find yourself humming it without realizing. Then, the moment you saw the product or something that reminded you of it, the mantra would pop into your head. When it came time to choose a product, you would unconsciously gravitate toward the one that was most familiar. It was the principle behind some of the most famous American campaigns. Got milk? Where's the beef? Those simple phrases had generated unimaginable wealth for their stakeholders. Cole's honesty was disarming, and Catherine found herself liking him. This boy, who was about the same age as her own son, had a certain charisma that was impossible to dislike. And he kept calling her Catherine. The advertising fee wasn't the issue for her. It was pocket change. She was already preparing to pivot anyway. If Viridian Fields failed, she would drop it without hesitation and find a new product line to represent. If Cole's plan actually worked, what was a few $1,000s? She and the other distributors had spent more than that on a single night out at a karaoke bar. Her own worthless son had gotten into a fender bender and fractured someone's big toe. Not even a compound fracture. And to make it go away, she'd paid out $5,000 on the spot. She'd spent over $15,000 on her own breast augmentation. Catherine didn't care about the money. She just didn't want to be made a fool of. But looking at this young man, it was clear he was genuinely passionate about making this work. Kid, you've convinced me. Really? Catherine, then you have to give it a shot. I promise, it'll be the best investment you've ever made. When you're laughing all the way to the bank, you'll thank me. Cole said, slipping back into his shameless, earnest persona. Aren't you afraid I'll just take your proposal and hire someone else to do it? Catherine teased, a smile playing on her lips. Cole was prepared for this. It was a classic move for seasoned business owners. Catherine, even though we've just met, I can tell you're a person of integrity. Besides, if you took this kind of campaign to a TV station, the cost, well, I don't need to tell you. And on top of that, this strategy is tailored specifically for college students. Its effectiveness in the general public would be cut by more than half. This is an operation that only Headline Today is equipped to run. Right now, nothing had a greater influence on students than Headline Today. And the cost to operate on the platform was incredibly low. That was Cole's trump card. Haha, all right. You've talked me into it. I'm willing to give it a try. Tell me about your pricing. Catherine beamed. Cole felt a jolt of excitement. He instantly switched back to his professional mode, scooting his chair forward. He began to explain the 2 payment models for their ad services. As they talked, he got Catherine's permission to log in a Headline Today on her computer, using the Tea Alchemist, the Orchid Lounge, and the Caspian Grill and Buffet as case studies. Wait a minute. Catherine suddenly interrupted. Cole's heart skipped a beat. Is she changing her mind? The Caspian Grill is advertising on Headline Today. Catherine blinked, looking from the screen back to Cole. They are. It just started a few days ago, Cole said, confused. Did she know them? Oh, you should have said so. If you'd told me that from the start, you wouldn't have needed this whole proposal. Catherine laughed, clapping Cole on the shoulder. If Vanessa Fan is advertising with you, what do I have to be afraid of? Let's do it, she added. No wonder she's been in such a good mood lately. She never told me what it was about. Cole's heart soared. So they know each other. This is perfect. Catherine, should we draw up a contract then? Yes, let's do it. Catherine peered closer at the ads on the screen. Yep, that was the Caspian Grill and Buffet, address and all. Yvonne, who had been in a daze, snapped back to reality and quickly handed over another folder. Cole had insisted they come prepared for any outcome. Kid, how do you know Vanessa? Catherine asked as she reviewed the contract. Oh, I met her niece first, Cole said honestly. I see. The tomboy, right? No wonder the Orchid Lounge is on here too. Catherine had never met Jordan Liu, but she knew of her. Jordan has a certain Milan-esque quality, Cole said, unwilling to confirm the tomboy label. Loose lips sink ships. Ha, you're a clever one, Catherine chuckled, seeing through his caution. Don't worry. I rent this office space from Vanessa. We're good friends. The comment startled Cole. Vanessa must be loaded if she owns office space in the gallery. I wonder how many properties she has. Do you know Vanessa well? Catherine asked, a glint in her eye. Huh, not at all. I just recommended the ad service. We haven't talked about anything else, Cole said truthfully. I see. Catherine didn't press the issue. After the contract was signed, she had her finance department wire over $15,000. Then she smiled at Cole. Kid, I believe in you, and I see a lot of potential. Go get him. Catherine, thank you for your trust. I'll do everything I can to live up to your expectations, Cole said earnestly. Another 15 grand in the bank. If they could turn this into a classic case study, the pressure on Yvonne would be greatly reduced. I'm looking forward to it, Catherine said with a warm, almost maternal smile. She had, for all intents and purposes, accepted the Catherine moniker. She even walked Cole and Yvonne to the company entrance. As they stepped into the elevator, Yvonne stole a glance at her boss, standing by the buttons. In that moment, she realized she had just become a die-hard Cole fan. Yvonne was completely and utterly in awe of Cole. His ability to switch personas on a dime was masterful, and his shamelessness knew no bounds. Yet his work was meticulous. She felt the immense gap between herself and her boss. A junior working under a freshman. In this context, it felt perfectly, undeniably logical. Her heart was being battered by some unknown force, wave after relentless wave. If she had to give that force a name, it would be conquest. An impulse rose within her, a desperate wish that her boss were a shameless leck who would make a move on her. But he never did. I'm pretty, right? My figure is decent, isn't it? But at the same time, she knew that he had access to top-tier women. It would be hard for him to divide his attention. Still, proximity is power. There would be opportunities. Okay, she decided. Starting tomorrow, I'm ditching the jeans. Yvonne wasn't going to give up without a fight. Back at the Headline Today office, when everyone heard they had signed another $15,000 deal, the room erupted in applause and cheers. Their confidence in the company's future soared. Cole called the advertising and planning department into the small conference room for a meeting. He laid out his ad strategy. He didn't lecture them with textbook theories. He simply demanded that the core of the plan be executed flawlessly. They could handle the minor details themselves. These were upperclassmen who had heard all the classic case studies in their marketing classes. They didn't need him to spell it out. After he finished, Cole asked, Whitney, what do you see as the key challenges we need to solve in this plan? I think there are two critical points, Whitney Yuan said, her eyes thoughtful. First, we still need to hire Headline Today influencers, one male and one female, to act as trendsetters. Second, a key part of the campaign has to be about getting consumers to adopt a new mindset. Don't chase expensive brands. Don't get ripped off by luxury. Practicality is the new college cool. Find your true self in the everyday. Cheap doesn't have to mean bad. Clap, clap, clap. Cole couldn't help but applaud. Whitney was a natural-born strategist. She got instantly. The other department members quickly joined in with applause. Exactly, Cole emphasized. The main goal of this campaign is to achieve two things, repetition, and what Whitney just said, a new mindset. If either of these is missing, we won't get the best results. Don't worry, boss. I'll make sure your vision is perfectly executed, Whitney promised. She had already grasped the essence of the campaign. It was a brainwashing designed to scrub consumers clean from the inside out. And it wouldn't be hard because their target audience, college students, was the most receptive to new ideas. All right, meeting adjourned, Cole said with a wave of his hand. The planning department immediately kicked into high gear. Meanwhile, at Eastwood Tech School of the Arts, Amy was on top of the world. Her follower count had broken the 100,000 mark, making her the most popular influencer on Headline Today. A single post could get tens of thousands of likes. Her image as a campus goddess was solidified. The most popular campus queens from other schools barely had 50,000 followers. Some had even given up on being influencers, content to be seen in fancy cars. Only Amy consistently updated her account, managed her brand, and carefully maintained her image. Rich guys from other schools couldn't even get a date with her. She was smart. The top universities produced a lot of talent, future leaders in every industry. She didn't need many. If just a few dozen of her 100,000 followers became successful, they would still be people who had once been her fans. That connection was valuable. So she treated all her followers, male and female, with care. Ding 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 ding. Her Facebook Messenger pinged. Amy opened it. It was Whitney Yuan, the head of planning at Headline Today. A jolt of excitement went through her. Are they offering me an ad deal? She read the message. They were. They wanted her to come to the office to discuss the details. Without a second thought, Amy rushed back to her dorm to touch up her makeup, then immediately headed for the Student Venture Lab at Eastwood University. The money didn't matter. After the collaboration, Headline Today would promote her account. Back at Eastwood University, Preston was a little confused after his class. Headline Today had sent him a message about a paid ad placement. The message was from Cole himself, asking him to come to the office if he was interested. Preston thought for a moment. He didn't have any more classes, so he figured he might as well check it out. Half an hour later, in the small conference room at the Venture Lab, Whitney explained the project to the two influencers. They would shoot a short video, incorporating the Viridian Fields product. The marketing department would provide the script and filming concept, but the performance details would be decided together. The core of the message was the line, the skincare every college student is using. And I'm using it too. The video would be featured on the Headline Today homepage, and both of them would also have to post it on their own accounts. They each signed a contract, which included a non-disclosure agreement. Amy was paid $150, Preston $120. Whitney had set the rates based on their follower counts. As an added bonus, their accounts would be promoted for 3 days. Amy and Preston left happy. Amy was a little disappointed she hadn't seen Cole at the office. Preston, on the other hand, felt a little slighted that Cole hadn't come out to greet him personally. Whitney then contacted some of the campus queens from other schools. They were offered $30 to post a video or a daily life update that prominently featured the product and the key phrase. Only 12 of them accepted. Some of the other campus queens had already moved on, sneering at a measly $30 now that they were riding the fast track with wealthy suitors. That evening, in a girls' dorm at Eastwood Teachers College's music department, a student named Sarah scraped the last bit of face cream from a jar, making a mental note to buy a new one tomorrow. She used a popular brand, something from Clinique. It wasn't cheap. She'd bought it after hearing other girls rave about it. She couldn't tell if it was actually working, but it was mostly a psychological thing. She couldn't be seen using something cheap. Her classmates would make fun of her. It was only because her dad spoiled her that she had the extra money for skincare. After washing her face, she settled into her usual spot, leaning against the wall on her bed with her laptop on a small desk. She started scrolling through Headline Today, a daily habit. Soon, she came across a video from one of her favorite comedy influencers at Preston Needs Hugs. The video started in his usual style, a shot of him from behind, looking cool and brooding. Then the sudden, hilarious reversal, revealing his signature, goofy, handsome face. This time, after the reveal, a gust of wind blew his carefully styled hair out of place. He touched his face, noticing it felt a little dry. Just as he was wondering what to buy, 3 students walked past, one of them saying, "I just use Viridian Fields. Everyone's using it now. It's good and it's not expensive." The influencer, Preston, rushed up to them. "Where can I get it?" A student replied, "You can just find it on the side of the road." Preston, skeptical, went to look. And sure enough, he saw a package of skincare products growing on the branch of a tree. He plucked it, and the package read, "Viridian Fields, the skincare college students are using." The influencer, Preston, smeared the cream on his face with an exaggerated motion. After he was done, his face wasn't dry anymore. A gust of wind blew his hair back into its perfect coif, and his face was so smooth and moisturized it practically gleamed. The video ended with Preston saying to himself, "If every college student is using Viridian Fields, then I'm using it from now on too." Sarah mumbled the name Viridian Fields to herself. At that point, it didn't really stick. She liked the post and kept scrolling. Soon, she came across a short film posted by another influencer, Amy. It also featured Viridian Fields with the same tagline, "The skincare college students are using." The skincare ad from female influencer had a much bigger impact on Sarah. She started to wonder if Viridian Fields was actually any good. As she scrolled further, she even saw a video posted by one of the campus queens from her own university, Eastwood Teachers College. It was a simple video shot in a dorm room. When Sarah returned to the Headline Today homepage, a bold banner on the right side of the screen caught her eye. Viridian Fields, the skincare every college student is using. She couldn't resist clicking on it. When she saw the product sets, the individual items, and the prices, she was tempted. It was insanely cheap, but she decided to wait and see. She was worried her roommates or other girls would make fun of her for buying a cheap brand. Over the next 2 days, Headline Today was flooded with content about discovering good, inexpensive skincare. Countless accounts shared their personal experiences. I didn't believe it at first, but after I tried it, it's actually really good. Works great, and it's cheap. Sarah was sold. She went to the Viridian Fields counter in the nearby Lakeside Shopping Center and bought a set. The total price was less than $15. After using it, she found it worked just as well as the expensive brands. The only real difference was the scent. But it was skincare, not perfume, so who cared? Still a little self-conscious, Sarah went to a neighboring dorm where she knew some girls to chat and subtly fish for information. It turned out that all 6 of the girls in that room had bought it. Sarah's anxiety vanished. A Viridian Fields craze quickly swept across the university campuses. The affordable price, combined with the psychological pull of everyone's using it, made students feel perfectly justified in buying it. They no longer had to worry about being judged for not using a high-end brand. The more students who bought it, the more powerful the everyone's using it mantra became. It was contagious. Of course, students from wealthier families and those who pursued a more luxurious lifestyle still stuck to the major brands. At Aura Cosmetics Distribution, Catherine Chow sat at her desk, her face beaming. For the past few days, the sales data coming in from her stores had been astonishing. Some locations had seen their revenue increase more than tenfold. Although the purchases were sporadic, the brand awareness was exploding. When something was cheap, people used it more freely, which meant they bought it more often. Looks like that young mister. Cole's plan really works. Catherine immediately called Viridian Fields headquarters to order more stock. Just as she hung up, the regional manager, Greg Zhao, knocked and entered. He wore a smug expression. "Aunt Catherine, I've told you a dozen times in the office, use my title," Catherine shot back, glancing at him with displeasure. "Ms. Chow, under my diligent supervision, store sales have skyrocketed these past few days. Here's the report I just prepared," he said, sliding a folder onto her desk. Catherine gave the folder an odd look, then lifted her eyes to stare deeply at Greg. "Where have you been the last few days?" "Me? I've been visiting the stores every day. I spent all day at the Lakeside store today," Greg said, taken aback. He felt a flicker of panic under her strangely knowing gaze. The truth was he'd been in a foul mood. He'd gone to the Tea Alchemist several times, but hadn't seen that girl, Julia, who had already blocked him. He hadn't gotten anywhere with her, so he'd spent the last few days drinking and singing karaoke with his buddies. He'd only gotten back to work this morning. "Greg, your aunt is my cousin. We're family, more or less. It's fine if you're not the most competent, but at the very least, don't drag me down. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Catherine's eyes were cold. If it weren't for the family connection, she would have fired him long ago. If he'd put in even a shred of effort, he wouldn't be trying to take credit for this. She'd had high hopes at first. Hiring family was supposed to have its advantages. She'd even given him her old car. But his performance... I understand, Greg stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. "Fine, I'll give you one more chance," Catherine said flatly, her gaze returning to her computer screen. "Thank you, Aunt Ms. Chow." Greg backed out of the office, embarrassed. The moment he was out the door, his expression soured with resentment. If it weren't for my hard work, would the company even be here today? This region would have collapsed. And she gives me that attitude? Oof. He left the office, fuming. That evening, at the original Tea Alchemist shop, Cole was at the round table in the back, teaching Luna how to use the accounting software. Brianna and Felicity sat with them. Only Cole would trust 3 freshmen with managing his finances. But he was a firm believer that you are the company you keep, so he was willing to trust anyone Luna trusted. Headline Today and the Tea Alchemist had separate accounting systems, but the final numbers were consolidated and managed by the head treasurer, Luna, with Brianna and Felicity acting as accountants. "You guys take turns with it. You'll get the hang of it with practice," Cole said, then excused himself to the restroom. He'd been holding it for a while, and that wasn't good for you. Just then, a black Volvo pulled up to the curb right in front of the shop. A young man in a formal suit stepped out. He wore an expression of smug superiority, the kind a rich kid puts on when he's out on the town, but it didn't look quite natural. It was as if he were trying too hard to project disdain for everyone around him while simultaneously craving their attention. Greg Zhao walked into the tea shop, pretending to study the menu, his eyes darting around, scanning the girls working behind the counter. He was disappointed. The girl from the mall wasn't there. Damn it, did that Julia lie to me? He thought. If the girl wasn't here, there was no point in ordering a drink. He had just turned to leave when his eyes suddenly locked on something. There, sitting at the round table in the back. It was her. So Julia wasn't lying. She really is here. Greg was ecstatic. His eyes darted around as he schemed. He decided not to approach right away. Instead, he called out to the counter, 4 cappuccinos hot. 4 hot cappuccinos. Megan repeated. Oh no, wait, Greg reconsidered. Just one for now. For it was a bit steep. He could order more if he managed to get a date. He couldn't wait for the coffee. He sauntered toward the back table. He saw three girls with their heads bent together, looking at a laptop screen. The one in the middle was an absolute knockout. Her figure was incredible. If he could just get a date with her, he'd willingly give up 10 years of his life. At that moment, Luna was watching Felicity navigate the software. Her senses, already sharp, picked up on a very uncomfortable feeling. She looked up and met a gaze that was utterly sleazy. She quickly looked down, disgusted, a wave of irritation washing over her. She wanted to grab the laptop and smash it over his head. Brianna and Felicity also sensed something was off and looked up. Hello, ladies. Mind if I sit here? Greg asked with a smirk, radiating a misplaced confidence he imagined all rich kids had. Sorry, this is our boss's seat, Brianna said flatly, shutting him down. Her tone was neutral. She'd heard him order coffee, so he was a customer. Now, what's the big deal? Your boss would give up his seat for a customer, wouldn't he? Greg shot back with an arrogant grin. He plopped down in the empty chair next to Felicity, who recoiled in disgust, and scooted closer to Luna. The guy's stare was just gross. It felt like insects crawling all over her skin. So, ladies, you work here? Greg asked, crossing his legs in a way that looked like he could scratch his toes with his own heel and bouncing his foot. The three girls ignored him, trying their best to focus on the accounting software despite the nauseating presence. But after a few seconds, Luna couldn't take it anymore. The man was staring at her, his eyes repeatedly sweeping over her chest. Even though her coat was buttoned, she instinctively pulled it tighter. Without looking up, she said in a cold voice, "Could you please not look at me like that? It's making me very uncomfortable." Hearing Luna speak up, Brianna glared at the man, her eyebrows knitting together. Greg just smirked, his confidence unshaken. He casually placed his car keys on the table. Ladies, let's be friends. I'll take you for a drive sometime. He couldn't believe this girl would be unimpressed. At his age, not many guys had a car. I'd advise you to leave now. Otherwise, things are about to get interesting, Brianna said, glancing toward the restroom door with a sigh. Interesting is my middle name. Greg Zhao, have never backed down from a little excitement, he said, getting lost in the role he was playing. His face was a mask of disdain, but inside his heart was pounding. Still, there was no way he was giving up. The girl was a total knockout. Maybe she was already interested, but was just too shy to say it. Brianna silently cursed him for being an idiot. This was a job for the boss. He had to be done there soon. Hey, beautiful, give me your number. I'll take you out to dinner. That car out there is mine, Greg said, pointing a thumb toward the Volvo XC90 parked outside. He'd had it washed just for this occasion, and it was gleaming. It was a 2006 luxury model, a decent car. Too bad it's not actually mine, he thought with a pang of regret. Luna pressed a hand to her forehead, the anger inside her reaching a boiling point. If she weren't so afraid of making things difficult for Cole by grabbing another knife, she would have already stood up and done it. When she was 13 or 14, she'd seen that same look in a man's eyes and had chased him with a hatchet. She had genuinely wanted to kill him then. If she had caught him, she would have buried it in him. Now, with Cole in her life, she hated that look even more. Greg, completely lost in his lust, was oblivious to the danger. He prattled on, "It's not cheap, about 60 grand, but it's an import. The ride is fantastic, perfect for a road trip. A lot more comfortable than the Audi I have parked at home." The dark cloud that lurked deep in Luna's heart burst. She couldn't take it anymore. She shot to her feet and slammed her hand on the table. "Are you still spewing that crap? I'll cut you, you son of a bitch, see if I don't." In her fury, her carefully practiced speech dissolved into the thick, raw accent of her hometown. Her face was contorted with rage, her eyes blazing. The loud bang and her explosive shout stunned Greg into silence. The other customers in the shop turned to look. The students sitting nearby had been watching the scene unfold and had a good idea of what was happening. Greg's lips trembled. He couldn't even meet the girl's eyes. Then, suddenly, he remembered the rich kid persona he was playing. He forced himself to puff out his chest. "What? What's your problem? I was just asking you a question. What's with the attitude? Is this how you treat your customers? Where's your boss? Get your boss out here." He slammed his own hand on the table with a loud thump. That was the last straw for Luna. She tried to push past Brianna to get to the counter. Brianna grabbed her. "Don't. Let the boss handle it." She knew Luna's temper all too well. She seemed gentle on the surface, but when she got angry, she went for knives. Just what you'd expect from someone from rural West Virginia, where people were still allowed to carry them for self-defense. Seeing the girl being held back, Greg's courage surged. He sneered internally. "Just a coward. I'll talk." He slammed the table again. "Get your boss out here now." I want to ask him how he trains his staff. If I don't get an apology, I'll make sure this place gets shut down. Greg had it all planned out. He'd demand that the girl apologize to him, in private, outside. If she refused, he'd call a few of his buddies to come and make a scene. As he fantasized, he continued to eye the girl with a lecherous, furtive gaze that sent Luna's temper skyrocketing. She fought against Brianna's hold. "Let me go." Just as she broke free and started for the counter and its knives, the restroom door swung open. Cole stood there, a look of confusion on his face, tinged with a hint of grievance. He'd thought it was an emergency and had rushed to finish his business. Luna froze, the anger on her face softening into a look of hurt. She was worried Cole would be angry with her for losing her temper. Cole looked at Luna. Then his eyes fell on the vaguely familiar, sleazy face at the table. He didn't need to ask what had happened. His face hardened. He strode toward the man. Greg was still dangling his car keys, a triumphant smirk on his face. He turned his head, and his heart lurched. What is that student doing here? But he was in too deep to back down now. He remained defiantly in his chair, thinking, what's he going to do about it? Cole didn't say a word. He grabbed the man by the collar and started dragging him toward the door. Greg was pulled backward, and the chair tipped over, crashing to the floor with him. Cole dragged him out. "What are you doing? Let go. You're assaulting me. Help. He's attacking me. Somebody call the police." The collar of Greg's suit and shirt was twisted tight, choking him. He scrabbled at Cole's hand, trying to pry it loose, but it was like iron. He was being dragged across the floor, a comical, humiliating spectacle, crying out to the other customers for help. None of them moved. A few of them laughed. In a matter of seconds, Cole had him at the door. "Let go of me, you motherfucker." Greg yelled. Slap. A sharp slap echoed through the shop, stunning Greg into silence. After the blow, Cole released his collar and shouted, his voice ringing with authority. "You were harassing women at the mall last time, and now you come to my shop to bother a student? You're the one who needs the police called on him. Maybe a few days in a cell will teach you a lesson." The customers inside and outside the shop gasped in understanding. No wonder. The guy's a repeat offender. You hit me. You just wait. Let's see how tough you are when my friends get here." Greg blustered, his face a mask of shame and fury. He didn't dare fight back. He pulled out his phone, making a show of threatening Cole. He didn't call the police. He was planning to call his drinking buddies to back him up. Cole ignored him, took out his own phone, and dialed Catherine Chow. Cole had been to the Viridian Field stores over the past few days, but he hadn't run into this man. Still, he was certain the guy was one of their regional managers. The phone rang 3 times before it was answered. It sounded like Catherine was in a restaurant. "Hello, kid. What's up?" Likely due to the soaring sales figures, her voice was warm and friendly. "Catherine, it's like this. There's a man here claiming to be a regional manager from your company. He's at my tea shop, harassing one of my employees. I just wanted to verify with you." Cole continued, cleverly framing it. "I was worried he might be an imposter from another brand, trying to damage Viridian Field's reputation." "A regional manager from my company?" Catherine's voice was surprised, but there was also a hint of recognition in it. She then asked, "What does he look like? What kind of car is he driving? Do you know the license plate?" "I think it's a Volvo." "The plate is..." Cole rattled off the number and described the man's appearance and clothing. When he finished, Catherine was silent for a few seconds. "I understand, kid. I'll have someone handle it right now. What's your address?" While Cole was on the phone, Greg was also making a call. "Yo, Dragon Man, I ran into some trouble. On Hillside Avenue, at Eastwood U. Place called the Tea Alchemist." "Hello? Dragon, you there?" "Hello." Greg's face darkened. Probably bad reception. He tried again. "Hey, Donnie, it's Greg. I'm in a jam. Hillside Avenue, the Tea Alchemist." "Hello. Donnie. Hello." Greg's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Unfucking believable. When it was time to go for hot pot or get a foot massage, they were always there. When he actually needed them, suddenly everyone had bad reception. Seeing Cole glaring at him, Greg quickly put on a show of being on an important call. "Yeah, right? Okay, I'll wait for you guys in the car. Hurry up." While still on the phone, he swaggered over to his car, opened the door, and got in. He had a few more calls to make. He refused to believe that his reputation didn't count for something. Cole finished his call, but didn't go back inside. He planted himself right in front of the Volvo's grill, waiting for Catherine's people to arrive. Judging by the guy's behavior, Cole knew he wouldn't call the police, and Cole had no intention of doing so either. This wasn't like the future, where people called the cops over a simple argument. Inside the shop, Luna's face was etched with worry. Afraid that Cole would be at a disadvantage, she walked to the counter and picked up the large butcher knife. Her entire demeanor changed. She looked like she was about to go ask a melon if it was ripe for the splitting. The customers in the shop stared, dumbfounded. Just moments ago, she had been a sweet, gentle-looking girl. Now, she looked like a tribal chieftainess heading into battle. Look at that steady stride. There was no doubt she was capable of a flying leap and chop at any moment. When Cole saw Luna walking toward him with a knife, ready to defend him, his heart ached with a mixture of love and concern. He put his arm around her. "Hey, it's okay," he said softly. "Put the knife back. I'm here. It's fine. I want to be with you. What some thugs show up?" Luna looked up at him, her determined gaze pleading. She knew they could call the police, but what if they were too late? What if a fight broke out? What if there was a what if, her knife wasn't just for show? Would she go to jail? She'd cut first and worry about that later. She had nothing else to offer Cole but this blade. "Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen. Be a good girl, Lou. Go back inside. If I need you, I'll call you, okay?" Cole's voice was a gentle whisper, and his eyes started to sting. She was ready to draw steel for him. What more needed to be said? He was just terrified she'd get hurt. I want to stay with you," Luna said, unwilling to defy him, but also unwilling to leave. "I know." Cole gave her waist a gentle squeeze. "This is Eastwood University. There aren't going to be any thugs. Trust me. Go on, get back and shop. We don't want people staring." Luna considered it. That was true. The man was hiding in his car, watching them, which was even more disgusting. "Okay, but if anything happens, I'm coming out." "Deal." Cole nodded, his eyes filled with a soft, warm light. Luna was so captivated by his gaze, she almost refused to go back inside. But she did as he asked, returning the knife to its place behind the counter. She ignored the accounting software and stood by the counter, her eyes fixed on the scene outside. "Come on, sit down. Let the customers have some space," Brianna said with a sigh, gently pulling her back to the table. A few of the students standing by the counter chuckled. From inside his car, Greg Zhao's pupils had constricted. Holy crap. Is she for real? At that moment, he felt a twinge of regret. And to make matters worse, all of his so-called good buddies still had bad reception. He wanted to drive away, but Cole was blocking the front, and another car was behind him. He was trapped, but he wasn't scared. What could they do? He was comfortable in his car. He could wait them out. Perhaps because they weren't far, the people Catherine had sent arrived in less than 10 minutes. A black Mercedes G-Wagon pulled into the empty space in front of him. A middle-aged man and a younger man got out. They walked directly to the Volvo, and the older man tapped expressionlessly on the window. The window rolled down, revealing Greg's hopeful face. "Uncle Ming, you're just in time. I ran into some punk who—" "Ms. Chow wants you to go back." The older man's expression didn't change. "Go back. But I can't just let this go. You have no idea how I've been wronged." With his back up here, Greg's bravado returned. He glared venomously at Cole. "Go back. Now," the man repeated. "Fine. All right." Greg caught the look in the older man's eyes and didn't dare argue further. "Give me the keys." The man held out his hand. "It's okay, Uncle Ming. I can drive," Greg said, forcing a fawning smile. "Give me the keys." The man's eyes were cold, devoid of any warmth. "Haha, okay, Uncle Ming." Defeated, Greg pulled the key from the ignition and handed it over, then got out of the car. The older man tossed the keys to the younger one, then turned to Cole. "Are you Mr. Chen?" he asked with a smile. "Ms. Chow asked me to apologize on her behalf. This won't happen again." He gave a slight bow. "Please thank Miss Chow for me," Cole said, stepping aside. He was curious to see how this would end. The younger man got into the Volvo's driver's seat. Greg shot a contemptuous glare at Cole and walked around to the passenger side, pulling on the handle. "Unlock the door." The young man turned and stared at him coldly. "She said you'd go back home." Back home." Greg's eyes widened in disbelief. What does that mean?" A terrible premonition washed over him. The Volvo started. Ignoring Greg, the driver pulled out of the parking spot. Greg's eyes darted around wildly. He ran toward the G-Wagon. "Uncle Ming! Uncle Ming!" The G-Wagon ignored him, started its engine, and drove away. Greg's face was a mask of despair. He pulled out his phone to call Catherine, but the call wouldn't go through. As Greg stood there in a daze, his phone rang. It was his mother. "What is it?" he answered. "Greg, what are you doing?" "You're never at your post. Your Aunt Catherine just called." After he hung up, the color drained from Greg's face. He'd lost his job and his car. He glanced at the tea alchemist. The student was already back inside. No one was paying any attention to him. A seed of resentment took root in his heart. Strangely, it wasn't directed at the student, but at Catherine Chow. "We're family, for crying out loud. Couldn't she have given me a little face?" The resentment was quickly followed by a wave of overwhelming regret. Too embarrassed to linger, he wandered away, muttering to himself, his eyes vacant. With the show over, the small crowd of onlookers dispersed, and the lively chatter returned to the tea alchemist. Cole gave Luna a reassuring look, then went back to teaching the three girls the software. Secretly, he was thinking, that little Spitfire grabbed a knife again. She's going to need a serious talking to tonight. Before the shop closed, Cole sent the two accountants home. Lou, come with me. Okay. Luna, of course, had no objections. She would go anywhere with him. When they arrived at the Golden Bay Residences, apartment 2201, Luna was stunned. She hadn't known Cole had his own place. She'd never seen an apartment like this before. She loved the balcony, from which you could see for miles. Cole stood with her on the balcony, looking out at the distant city lights, pointing out landmarks. As he talked, he moved behind her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. He had an armful of soft, warm, fragrant girl. A very, very full armful. A shame about the thick winter clothes. A blush spread across Luna's face, and she leaned back against him, letting him gently kiss her neck. It was ticklish and comforting all at once. The rage that had made her grab the knife was long gone. They stood there quietly, admiring the night view and talking. In his past life, Cole would have ordered takeout, and they would have eaten and talked. But none of the three girls had a habit of eating late-night snacks, and they usually went to bed early. The only time they stayed up late was when he was pestering them. "You're not going back to the dorm tonight," Cole said. He had been to the apartment earlier to change the sheets, putting away the set he and Jasmine had used. Jasmine was so embarrassed about the dance, and what happened after that, she probably wouldn't dare to see him for days. "You can shower here. You can wear my pajamas." Hearing this, Luna's heart tightened with a nervous flutter. She only had a vague idea about certain things, no real understanding of the specifics. She sighed internally. If he really wants to, I'll let him. Cole saw the worry in her eyes instantly. He leaned close to her ear and whispered, his words a complete lie. "We'll just talk and sleep. Nothing else." Nothing else? That was impossible. But he knew that for the sensitive Luna, now was not the time to cross that line. He could sweet-talk her, trick her, and probably get what he wanted. She was so grateful to him that she likely wouldn't refuse. But that would create a dynamic where she felt she owed him, and it would leave a scar on their relationship. Luna's upbringing had left her with a profound lack of security. If he rushed things, she would inevitably feel that he was only after her for her body. Cole was no saint. In his past life, he would have taken what he could get as fast as he could get it. Eat and run. But things were different now. To get the biggest prize, he had to give these three women a complete, hopefully perfect experience. He had to let the feelings settle and deepen over time, until things happened naturally. A woman's heart could be simple sometimes. If you rush to eat, then in her eyes, that's all it was. If she could give it to you today, she could give it to someone else tomorrow. In the future, who among those who lived on fast food relationships could ever claim to have loyalty? The more you consumed, the emptier you felt. In the end, your soul would lose its anchor, and you'd become a hunter of desire. Just like the dark version of Cole from his past life. No trust, no emotion, only lust. Lust burned brightly, but it disappeared the moment the act was over. If you clicked, maybe it only disappeared for a little while. If you didn't, it might be gone forever. It always disappeared quickly. But now everything was different. He was starting over, young and full of life. And he had met these incredible people who cared so much about him. Cole's mindset was slowly changing. The scumbag tendencies were being suppressed. He was still a scumbag, technically, but there was a fundamental difference between a scumbag who builds something and one who just takes. He felt like he was evolving, his heart set on a higher, more shameless pursuit. Who didn't want a true, mutual love? What man, scumbag or hopeless romantic didn't want that? Everyone did. They had just seen too much and lost the courage to believe in it. But now, since he, Cole Chun, had found the right people, he had to first imprint his own brand on their souls, weaving the four threads of their lives into a single, unbreakable cable. Cole knew he was greedy, but he had to be. He had to be the greediest of them all. He would be the king of greed. Luna didn't say anything. She just tilted her head slightly and kissed his chin. She believed him completely. Her heart felt light. She was afraid of many things, but she was most afraid that Cole only liked her for her body, her rabbits, as the saying went. Before, she thought he was just being nice to her, that there was no romantic interest. But ever since she had revealed her talents, he had started to pursue her. She was overjoyed but also worried. She wasn't the only well-endowed girl in the world. As time went on, would he get tired of her? Would he go chasing other rabbits? One of her roommates had been in a fiery romance, and it wasn't long before she was staying out all night. But now they had broken up. They had only been together for 3 months. Luna saw it happen, and it worried her. She was afraid the same would happen with her and Cole. But hearing him say those words, Luna felt like she was being held in the palm of his hand, protected and cherished. She was filled with a sense of security. Her heart was overflowing with a deep, abiding affection that left no room for doubt. Her rabbits belonged to this person. She just hoped he would eat slowly, savor them, and make the meal last a long, long time. They talked until after 9, when the building grew quiet. Cole gave her a new set of men's winter cotton pajamas. Blushing, Luna went to take a shower. She had showered the day before, but the thought of being held by him made her want to be fresh. As she washed, she looked down at herself and unconsciously bit her lower lip. Her face felt hot. Unwilling, she thought. She had to make it so he wouldn't have any desire to look at other girls. Right? But I won't let him get too full. After drying off, Luna hesitated over her bra for a moment before finally putting it on. It probably wouldn't survive the night, but she had to wear it. Otherwise, he might get the wrong idea and think she was too eager. That wouldn't be good. When Luna walked out, her face flushed a delicate pink. Cole put on a serious expression. Okay, my turn to shower. It's cold out here. You should get under the covers. Okay, Luna whispered, not daring to look at him. The hot water must have been scalding, because her cheeks were still bright red. Cole, the fake gentleman, looked calm, but he practically sprinted into the bathroom.